Enson-Inoue from Shuto versus Mark-Kerr of wrestling.
ただいまより第7試合を行います。
And now we have the 7th bout.
青コーナーよりマーケア選手の入場です。
Blue corner, Mark-Kerr.
Here he comes, former two-time UFC tournament champion, Mark-Kerr. He's 31 years old, and he's fought in Pride. This will be his 6th appearance in Pride. He's from Ohio, 6'1", 253 pounds. He fights out of the Hammer House dojo. You know, it's interesting, Kerr's last fight in Pride, Gary, was against Igor Vovchanchyn, and he had a really hard night against Igor.
Yeah, he didn't look too good that night. I think there was more problems than we saw, but I think we're looking forward to a good performance from Mark-Kerr tonight, as well as his opponent.
Mark looks like he's in tremendous shape, very focused. He's got Bas Rutten and Rico Rodriguez in his corner.
So you know he's been working on his submission.
Along with Marcus Vinicius from Beverly Hills Jiu-Jitsu Club.
If you go by who's in his corner, you certainly know that Mark-Kerr prepared himself for this match.
I think he really did, because with Bas Rutten being a world-class striker, no-holds-barred fighter, and with a team of Rico Rodriguez and Marcus Vinicius in his corner, that's a lot of knowledge, and Mark-Kerr steadily improves. Looks like he's in tremendous shape.
At 253 without an ounce of fat on him.
赤コーナーより
He's a puke.
エンセン・井上選手の入場です。
Red corner, Enson-Inoue.
Enson-Inoue has the nickname of Yamato Damashi. Translated into English, that means Japanese spirit. Enson had some pretty strong words to say about this match. He said he will disfigure Mark-Kerr's face and make it full of blood.
That's what he wants to do?
That's what he said he was going to do. He has predicted his fight with Kerr will be either a really fast one or a long war. And he thinks that either one of them doesn't have any strong or weak points.
Well, I think there's both these gentlemen's got a lot of proving ground to make right here, and will tell a lot. But I don't think it's going to be an easy fight for either one of them.
I think this is maybe the most competitive fight of the evening in some ways. Enson-Inoue, this will be his 3rd Pride appearance. He's wanted to get this fight previously, but he broke his hand about 9 months ago, and that postponed this match. And now here they meet in the Pride.Grand.Prix 2000 opening round tournament. He's 32 years old, 5'11", 209 pounds. He hails out of the purebred shooting gym, Omiya. And his most significant win, obviously, being over former UFC heavyweight champion Randy Couture in Valley Tudo, Japan, 1998.
He doesn't really have that much NHB experience. Dating back from 95. But he certainly fought some good name people.
Well, he's only lost to two tremendous fighters. His only losses were to Igor Zinoviev in Valley Tudo, Japan, 96, and also to the great Frank Shamrock. After a war, he gave Frank Shamrock all he could handle, and then Frank ended up winning on a DQ after Enson was hurt pretty badly.
5 minutes of fighting.
Yeah. Enson states that his strong points are his aggression, his ground and his submissions, and his attitude. He goes all out.
第7試合15分1ラウンドを行います。赤は185センチ、110.5キロ。赤コーナー180センチ、95.6キロ。
Okay, Enson has carved in the back of his hair Japanese signature writing, which translates into English, and it means death in the back of his head. So that's he seems pretty psyched for this fight. In some ways, this fight is like these men are jockeying for the. Enson comes right out and Kerr takes him down into Enson's guard. Enson really tried to drop a bomb on Kerr right away, but Kerr had nothing doing. Went for the double leg into Enson's guard. I expected that the fight would end up in this position pretty quickly. Like I was saying before, in some ways these men are jockeying for their top 10 ranking position. Kerr was, until he fought Bob Chancellor, regarded as the best fighter in the division, and Enson, with his win over Randy Couture, had come into the top 10 but needed some other significant wins, and he figured a win over Kerr
would put him in the top 10.
Well, at least top 10. Maybe if a win over Kerr would probably put him up in the top 5 or top 3. Kerr is aware of this, and Kerr has prepared himself very well for this fight after having some health problems a few months back. Kerr looks as strong as he's ever been.
Most certainly does. He looks pretty relaxed here in the guard. I would expect Enson to look pretty nasty.
Now Kerr is starting to land some shots from the guard. Enson doesn't really want to eat too many of those punches from the guard. When Enson lost to Igor Zinoviev, it was from the guard. Igor rained down the punches and was victorious from Enson's guard. So sometimes, Gary, the guard isn't the safest place against a man of Kerr's caliber, who does have some striking ability.
He most certainly does, I tell you. Ground and pound by itself doesn't work anymore, but let me tell you, when you get on top of a man and you really feed it to him.
Wait, there's been some kind of a delay. I guess, I don't know if there was a clash of heads or...
I think somebody raked something. Enson raked his glove over his eye and got something in there, I think.
Yeah. Well,
Kerr being cleared up now.
Yeah, Kerr being the man of fair play, didn't want to take advantage. What Enson is hoping that Kerr will do is stand up a little straighter, that way he can slap the leg over the front of his face and go for the armbar. But what Kerr wants to do is stay close, and when he does go up, initiate the strikes fast enough to where Enson can't grab the arm and pop the armbar on him the way he did with Randy Couture. Kerr going for the neck crank. Enson pulling out. Enson in a loose guard. Kerr thinking about the leg, falling back into Achilles. It's not his strong point, but he does know those after training with Bas Rutten and others. He is familiar with leg locks as well as the upper body arm locks and chokes.
I think Kerr trying to be getting breaking the guard and going 90 to open himself up for more submissions, because Kerr does know some good submissions.
Now Enson's really using the feet effectively and striking well from the bottom. Kerr did land a good right hand before that little sequence of action, but now they're back into a loose guard. Now he's trying to pass the guard, and Enson is really trying to fight. Enson's got half guard now. If Kerr gets the side mount, it's going to be difficult for Enson to do anything, because Kerr is a master of the side mount.
Master of the side mount. Master of balance. He ain't going to get Kerr off him anytime too soon. It ain't going to happen.
In a way, we have a clash of styles here. We have a submission man in Enson-Inoue and a wrestler in Mark-Kerr. Even though both the men have trained and cross-trained in various other disciplines, those are their primary disciplines, and Kerr will go back to what he knows best, and that is to hold his opponent down and beat him up and get the decision or the knockout.
Amen.
Whereas Enson, he wants to try and make Kerr make a mistake and get the submission. As Enson had prophesized, this looks like it's unfolding to be
a false prophecy.
A long, dragged-out war.
Well, I don't see no bloody mess either.
Well, we're only 5 minutes in. Maybe you're right. Kerr's going for the smother there with his hand over Enson's mouth, but he's just going to give that up.
You know, wrestlers can be a pain in the ass to fight, because they're like Velcro on top of you. You can't get them off. Very, very difficult, especially now when everybody's starting to cross-train, do everything. Well, quite a few years back when Severin lost to Royce Gracie, none of the wrestlers or the other fighters knew exactly how and knew what they were doing.
Kerr's landing some big right hands. Sorry, Gary. Kerr is starting to connect with that right hand. I know what you mean. Kerr has the advantage of training with people like Mark Coleman to really keep his wrestling game in shape.
Exactly.
And a lot of the American wrestlers did have a really great run there for a while. Severn, Coleman, and then Kerr were dominating events like the UFC for a while before people got more hip to submissions and even kickboxing like Maurice Smith and Igor Vovchanchin. The kickboxers seem to have done the best lately against the wrestling styles. Now Kerr seems to be doing quite a bit.
He's trying to smother him with his chest.
He's trying to smother him with his chest, and he's cooking him pretty well. Enson, he's okay. He waved. He was okay. In a position like this, the fighter on the bottom has to stay totally relaxed. If they tense up, they can make it a quick fight for the man on top. Kerr's just cooking him here, just biding his time, letting Enson slowly run out of gas. Because Kerr's got almost 40 pounds.
The thing about that is Kerr's got no fat to move around his face when he's starting to smother somebody.
Now Kerr, those right hands are landing to the front of Enson's face.
He decided to change it up. Being that lean sometimes is not very good.
Why is that?
Well, see, if he was Emmanuel Yarber in that position, or Tank Abbott in that position, all his extra stuff would be melting all over him. But see, because he's all hard and ripped and muscly, when he does that, there's all sorts of air pockets.
It was sort of like having the blob on top of you instead of like a tomato.
Yes, exactly.
Got it. And I understand your point very well that Kerr is definitely no blob. He's pretty ripped. Kerr continuing to grind that forearm, create pressure on the neck. Enson's strong. He's not going to be submitted from that, but it does have a wearing and tearing effect. Nice little hammer fist there by Kerr. Enson's got a bit of a bloody nose now from those right hands, which Kerr has been pouring down on him. But you know, against a submission guy, it's never over till it's over, to quote Yogi Berra.
Exactly. They'll hang in there forever. I'm sure Enson is going through his mind thinking, man, I should tap out. I wish he'd probably get me in something good so I can get out of this thing. But, you know, his mind is telling him differently. You know, he's fighting with himself right now. Not really Mark-Kerr.
Now, if Kerr wins this fight, there is the possibility that he could have a rematch with Igor Vovchanchyn.
Certainly. Or he could fight me.
Or he could fight you. Yeah.
I personally would like the rematch with Igor Vovchanchyn.
I think everyone that's ever been defeated by a fighter always wants to get back at them, don't they?
Amen. Like I said, he's my friend until I beat his ass.
If you were to have a rematch with Igor Vovchanchyn, how would you go about beating him?
Stick and move. Jab, stick, jab, right, left, right, move, kick. Just be moving around.
And if you were to fight a man like Kerr, how would you go about beating him?
The same way Enson's trying to do right now. You're going to fight it on your back. So the best thing you could do is just get a lot of conditioning at that and know that you're going to take a beating. Be able to withstand it and hopefully tire him out, make him do something else.
Well, in your last fight, you actually gave a very good effort in losing to Tom Erickson, who's quite a bit bigger than Mark-Kerr.
Yeah.
So in some ways on paper, maybe Mark-Kerr wouldn't be as hard as Erickson per se, although Erickson was coming back after a little bit of a layoff.
10分経過 10 minutes passed.
Okay, we've got 5 minutes left in our match. Kerr's been in complete control from the top, from the half mount or half guard, whichever vantage point you want. Been grinding away with punches to Enson-Inoue, nothing of the knockout caliber. But Enson has been remiss to do anything effectively in the way of a submission or counter strikes. He's landed a couple stomps to Mark's leg from the side, but that right hand is landing with regularity on Enson's head. Kerr's pretty much executing his game plan. I think when Kerr fought Vovchanchyn, he maybe got out of his game plan. Igor had something to do with that, of course, but he stood up with Igor a little bit.
He stood up, and Igor's really low to the ground, and he's got a good center of gravity, so it's hard to, when you look at him, it's difficult to shoot. It's a little intimidating, you know, and as you know, well, as everyone knows, you know, Kerr's not a stand-up fighter, you know, he's a ground and pound type of specialist.
Kerr does continue to improve his other elements. If there were weaknesses in Kerr's game, he's always working to improve those in punching, kicking, kneeing, submissions. So he is an astute student of the game. He just doesn't stay at what he knows. He's always learning and improving. I think most fighters nowadays realize they have to do that in order to keep current and to stay competitive on this level. Nice forearm strike by Mr. Mark-Kerr. But Enson is not quitting.
No, a lot of tenacity. But Kerr hasn't slowed down any either.
Kerr's grinding that forearm again. Eventually, that's going to be a problem for Enson because Enson's neck can only take so much downward pressure, then it's going to start to loosen up. Kerr's putting a lot of pressure on that neck. He's just laying on it, and Enson might try to bridge a little bit, but Mark's trying to pass that guard. He's trying to get into the mount. Enson knows this. That knee pad is just about ready to come off of Mark's left leg.
I think when he passes it, it's going to come right off.
I think so too, because Gary, you know that sweat is a factor. When a fight goes into 10, 15 minutes, the body becomes, it's like having oil on it.
Exactly. Very lubricated.
in Pride rules, there is no oiling of the body, no any kind of Vaseline on the body, nothing. It's all prohibited. But when a fighter starts to sweat like this, and it gets over 100 degrees in that ring from the lights and from just the action and the kinetic energy of the body, it's hard to hold a half guard the way Enson is. So I wouldn't be surprised if Kerr at some point was able to pass that guard into the full mount. Here's that back hammer fist, and he's going for the neck crank.
Looks like Enson's trying to get the full guard.
And Enson goes for the up kick, and now Kerr is standing. Goes for that roundhouse kick. Enson goes for the stomp at that knee. Sure, Mark doesn't appreciate that. Goes for the low kick to the leg.
Mark's been working on his Muay Thai a bit too, so he can use that as well.
His shins are conditioned. I can attest to that. I saw him kicking the side of a bench a couple days ago at the hotel just to break time. So I don't think. Okay, 1 minute left. Okay, they're going to restart the fighters. A good decision. There was a lack of action. There was nothing significant going. And Kerr, I expect Kerr's going to throw a kick. Oh, he shoots and takes him down. Right back into the guard.
It would appear to me that at this point, Kerr has done more to win this fight than Enson has at this point. Enson's really been more guard fight, so I'd be quite disappointed if they made them go another round and didn't award Kerr the victory.
I couldn't agree with you more, Gary, because Enson, you know, has not. Kerr has prohibited him from doing anything in the ways of submissions or effective striking from the bottom. Where Kerr has landed that right hand with regularity, gave Enson a bloody nose, lumped him up a little bit, gave him some hammer fists from the back of his hand, and landed a couple kicks when they were in the standing. There's another right hand. And there it is. That's the end of the regulation period, 15 minutes. I think that Enson knows. I think Enson, deep in his heart, knows. And I think Kerr knows too. And there's a lot of camaraderie. There's no bad blood per se. It's just competitive spirit. Mark-Kerr seems to have done more than enough.
Exactly, to win that match.
Yeah, to win the opening round of that particular match. I really don't picture that the judges would put that into an overtime round.
Well, you know, I've seen stranger things have happened, but to me, I better not go another one.
I'm with you, Gary.
So what's that carved into the back of Enson's head?
It means death. Enson came right out with that right hand, and Kerr went for that double leg. Down in Enson's guard. Enson bridged up the arms, and Kerr landing that right hand, right forearm. And here we go with the judge's decision.
Judge, Mark-Kerr.
That's there we go.
Mark-Kerr on a majority decision.
Very good. Very good.
No surprise. Mark-Kerr controlled the fight. I don't know how the judge saw it a draw. Maybe they wanted to see an overtime round. But more of Kerr laying in his guard. I don't think that's. We don't really need to see more of that.
No.
Kerr controlled the fight. He did what he had to do. Wasn't an exciting fight, but a fighter of Kerr's caliber knows that he has got to do what he's got to do to win. There he is, Mr. Mark-Kerr.
Enson's got nothing to be ashamed of. That, as I said, I believe that was the toughest toughest first round draw.
Those right hands, Enson felt those right hands. I mean, even though he's pulling him close, some of those, Mark-Kerr got some distance. He pulled back enough.
I would just like to thank every one of you for coming out and still supporting me. For over a year, I was supposed to fight Enson. Finally tonight, I was healthy enough too.
皆さん、今日はここの東京ドームに来られて、そして応援してくれてありがとうございました。エンセン・井上選手とは1年前から戦うことになっており、ようやく今日それが実現しました。
And I'd like to thank Enson. He has a heart of a warrior, and he's a true gentleman.
そして選手の心を持ち、本当に山倉魂を持ち、また選手でもあるエンセン・井上選手に心からありがとうとお伝えしたいと思います。
I love you all. Have a good night.
皆さんありがとうございました。
A very classy Mark-Kerr, thanking the fans, thanking Enson-Inoue for a good, solid fight, and moving on into the finals of the Pride Grand Prix 2000 tournament. So Kerr advances. Back in the winner's circle again, Mark-Kerr. And now joining us again at ringside, in addition to my compadre, Big Daddy Gary Goodridge, we also have now returning after successfully cornering Mark-Kerr, Bas Rutten. That was a great victory for Mark,
yes.
Bas.
Yeah, I think it's a very big victory because I consider Enson as a real good fighter, and you know, I saw it as a big obstacle, but he just did what he came to do, and yeah, that was a win, ready.
It seemed like he really executed his game plan to a T.
That's it. Only I little wish that he would have pulled the leg out and went to side mount and then went for the total destruction.
Yeah, I mean, Mark
Would have been nice.
Gary and I were commenting that Mark-Kerr in the side mount is not a pretty sight. I mean, he can really do some damage from that position.
Yes, he can. That's what we saw with Paul.